All right. The sex glands obviously differ between men and women. Oh, I'm on page 336 in your anatomy book if you aren't already there. So in the woman, we have ovaries, which obviously is where our eggs are kept until it is time to ovulate. Ovaries also put out estrogen, which we call the feminizing hormone. Estrogen is what was responsible for turning the little girl into the young lady. It matured their breast, it matured their genitals, it gave them that female body shape, okay, the contours, okay, all of those, and it kick-started menstruation back like in the early days, the very beginning of it. This module, we will also be doing the reproductive system, so we will get much further in depth in this puberty in how the hormones regulate the female cycle. We also have in the ovary a structure called the corpus luteum, which puts out progesterone. Okay, all of these are our female hormones. Now for the man, of course, they have the testicles that create the sperm, which is the male equivalent of the egg. Those are the two structures that make the baby. Okay. And we also have the testosterone is being put out by the testicles as well. Testosterone is has the same effect in the little boy as we were talking about with the little girl. So the testosterone turns the little boy into the teenage boy and then into the full man. That's the masculizing hormones. It matured the external genitalia. It kickstarted their beard to start growing. It changed their voice. And then the muscular development of a man. The muscular development through puberty is very different between men and women. Okay, men's muscles, as much as women want to say we're exactly the same, men's muscles are designed by nature to have more strength to them. That doesn't mean the female can't override that, with bodybuilding, things like that. Okay, the thymus. The thymus is here in the mediastinum. It's on the inside of the rib cage, but between the lungs. Okay, this one puts out the hormone called thymosin. Okay, with your thymosin, I thought it did something else, and that's not what it's saying. So thymosin has to do with the creation of our T cells, which has to do with our immune system. If you've been here through the heart and blood module, you've heard about the T cells and having to do with our immunity. If you have not done that module, you got that to look forward to. The placenta. Clearly, the placenta is a temporary gland because it's only present in a pregnant female. So it's there when you're pregnant, and when you are not pregnant, you do not have one. So it is a temporary, but during pregnancy, it puts out a hormone called the chorionic gonadotropin. Okay, and it's put out to help with the development of the baby. Now, that chorionic gonadotropin, sometimes you'll see the word human in front of that, and we abbreviate it as HCG, human chorionic gonadotropin. That is the hormone that is being detected when you take a pregnancy test, and that's why you do not get false positives in a pregnancy test, because if it found the hormone, you have a placenta. End of story, you're pregnant. Now, you can get false negatives because maybe it didn't have enough concentration in the urine to notice that it was there. So you can get false negative pregnancy tests pretty easily. That's why they tell you to use your first pee of the day, because then it's very, very concentrated. And that's what, the pregnancy tests are looking for, is that hormone right there. Okay. The next one is called the pineal gland. The pineal gland is also in the brain. Let me see what note I left to myself. Oh, I wrote, known as the biological clock. Okay. The pineal gland puts out the hormone called melatonin. Melatonin regulates a lot of things that are clock-based. It tells our body when to start puberty, boy or girl. So 12 years old, 13, 9, okay, there's a whole range of when this might happen, but at some point it says, okay, you've been alive long enough, time to do this. Kickstarts your puberty. It also kickstarts that menstruation in the woman. It also affects our sleep patterns. There's a lot of people who take melatonin pills. This is also what regulates our body time-wise, you know, your passage of time, things like that. And you can also, one of the diseases that go along with this is your seasonal affective disorder, people who get clinically depressed with the lack of sunshine. So when our daytimes get messed up, melatonin, like our whole bodies get screwed up with this time zone change. It's October when I'm recording this video. You're probably watching it various times of the year, but like we're getting ready for our time zone change next week. And that really screws our body up when we fall back and spring forward. And it takes a long time for our bodies to get back into that. Okay. The other thing that can screw up our melatonin is electronic screens. Makes you awake. So anybody who is on a computer late into the evening, plays on their phone after they get in bed, and honestly, I'm guilty of both of those. I tend to work late into the evening, and then I play on my phone before falling asleep. And if you suffer from insomnia, those are terrible things to do to your body. You should have an hour or so off of those types of screens so that you can sleep. So some people need to regulate that a little more than other people. All right. Couple just random hormones here to finish it out. We have a hormone called ghrelin. Ghrelin is not my friend. This is a weight gain hormone. It comes from the stomach. It boosts your appetite, slows your metabolism, and reduces your fat burning. And so it's like an obesity hormone almost. Now, why do we have this? Well, if you think back to like our caveman days when food was scarce, when we never knew where our next meal was really going to come from, or were we going to starve all winter, okay? So some of these are trying to get you to almost, you know how bears hibernate for the winter, how they eat a lot and then they burn it off while they sleep all winter? That's kind of what this hormone is trying to get the human to do, is to bigger appetite, so you eat a lot and then it holds on to every bit of it so that you can get through famine periods. Obviously not such a big deal anymore given today's society and refrigerated food, and you know, we don't starve in the winter. We've got grocery stores that are fully packed, but that's not our evolutionary history. Okay, the next one is called the ANH, atrial natriuretic hormone. It comes from the heart. This one works opposite of aldosterone. So this one, aldosterone says hold on to water, don't pee. It's kind of like your antidiuretic hormone in the brain. Both of them say don't create urine, hold on to the liquid. ANH does the opposite. ANH says we have too much water in our blood, get rid of it, and kicks up your urine output to get rid of it. So if you were to drink a whole bottle of water, or maybe 3 bottles of water, and you down them because you're really, really, really thirsty, you're going to get too much water into your bloodstream. Your blood will be too thin. ANH from your heart will say, get rid of this, and you'll be in the bathroom within the hour getting rid of some of that fluid. Leptin. Leptin comes from your fat storing cells. It regulates how hungry you feel and how you metabolize the food. Okay, so this one is not necessarily like the ghrelin. Ghrelin's not my friend at all. because I certainly don't need anyone to boost my appetite. But this one is more of a food regulator or hunger regulator. That's your chapter. Okay, so before I stop the video, I want to come back here to my cheat sheet. And if we were in class, I'd make sure yours looked like mine. Now, yours can look like anything you want it to look like. I want to show you mine in case you didn't fill some of it out or you kind of got off track and you just want to compare it. Pause the video because I'm not going to give you enough time to write this while it's on the screen. So pause the video and you can write it to your heart's content. So your anterior, 6 hormones. Your posterior pituitary, 2 hormones, hypothalamus, thyroid, parathyroid. Your adrenal cortex, this might be the one that you might want to go, I want to make sure I got all this right. So you've got your mineral and your glucocorticoids and your androgens. Scrolling on. This is the end of it right here. The adrenal medulla, the pancreatic islets, ovaries, testes, thymus, placenta, pineal, the heart, the stomach, and the fat storing cells. You need to know these. There's nothing else I can say. You need to know the hormones. Memorize them. The sex hormones, you're going to need those when we get into the reproductive chapters this mod as well. So there's more than one test you need to know those ones for. Some of the others you may remember from last module, your urinary ones we just talked about last module. So hopefully you learned the ANH from the heart, and you learned your antidiuretic, and you learned your adrenal ones, so that you've got a jump start on a couple of these hormones. I always say that when I teach that one is learn them now. It gives you a jump start on next mod. But if you didn't learn them last mod, you got to learn them now. So this is a great cheat sheet that you've just created for yourself to help study from. Oh, look at that typo. It's been on there forever. Interesting. Anyway, okay. Good luck with your hormones. Have fun with it. I think this is a really interesting topic. It's a really fascinating topic to me on how they're put together. Just in case this is your first mod, I always recommend when you finish an anatomy chapter that you scroll all the way to the end, until you find this chapter test. I love these chapter tests. Fill in the blank, multiple choice, and some matching. Fabulous practice. Fabulous. Okay. Then scroll back. The review questions are great as well, but these ones are a little more critical thinking, a little more short answer kind of questions rather than just quick fill in the blanks and stuff like that. So I always start with the chapter test and quiz yourself. Have your family quiz you. Pull it up, hand it to a family member and say, okay, quiz me on these. The same with your hormone cheat sheet. Quiz me on these. But these review questions are a little more, like I said, short answer. These aren't a quick answer. You'd have to give like a paragraph. Now, we used to have short answer test questions. We don't any longer. I kind of miss them. The students don't miss them at all, usually. But these were some similar ones to those. But these are going to really make sure that you know this material.